If Sukuna didn't have access to his true form transformation, would he have lost against Kashimo? Let's talk about it. All right, first of all, shout out to Professor Meme who asked me this and a couple of other questions today. But starting with this Sukuna one, could he have beaten Kashimo without this true form transformation? And it's an interesting question. I would say that narratively, probably not, because, there's a reason he did that in that moment. He needed to recover, at least physically, from the Gojo fight. But a point of order here is that this did not just replenish Sukuna to 100%. Like, it didn't refresh his brain. He didn't get his domain back. It was basically a surface level heal, right? His body healed, but his, capabilities and stamina didn't, if that makes sense. And we know that even in that beaten and battered form, he was still plenty keeping up with Kashimo, even able to avoid this point-blank electromagnetic blast that Kashimo prepared to shoot right in front of his face, right? He was still okay enough to get out of the way of that. So it's not as if he was about to die or anything, but Sukuna obviously just took this as an opportunity to incarnate post-Gojo fight. But even though Meguna was keeping up with Mythical Beast Amber, it's important to note that the way Sukuna killed Kashimo was with the world-cutting slash, something that he could not do in Megami's body anymore. So Sukuna quite literally couldn't have killed Kashimo the way he did unless he transformed. But does that mean that Meguna was incapable of killing Kashimo? And I don't think so. I mean, I think Gojo and Sukuna are just so much above everyone else that he could have killed Kashimo if he really needed to lock in and do so in his Meguna form. Now, would it have been harder for him? Sure, because he can't use the world-cutting slash, but I think he could have done it. And I know Kashimo fans are going to be so mad that I said that, but, I think just narratively, again, it made sense for him to use the transformation there, showcase the new form, showcase the world-cutting slash, and get on to the rest of the gauntlet. Next, Professor wanted to know, what if Megami was the one to run into Mahito in Shibuya instead of Nobara? How would that have gone? And this is interesting, right? Because you got to remember, this was a Mahito clone, so it wasn't the real one. It wasn't one capable of using idol transfiguration on Megami, but he's still a threat, right? But more importantly, Megami can't hurt Mahito. Nobara could, right? Which is what caused him to run towards the real one and thus interact with Yuji. So in this case, I don't think Mahito runs towards Yuji, so that interaction never happens. And either Megami gets killed, even though he's a clone, because he can't hurt him, or he summons Maharaga, which opens a whole new can of worms. But in any case, I don't really think it changes much and doesn't lead to Megami Todo and Yuji versus Mahito. This battle's going to end one way or the other before they ever interface with Yuji. And then finally, Professor says Mechamaru versus Robot from Invincible. And this is a really cool matchup because they are very similar. But unfortunately, I think Invincible just outscales Jujutsu Kaisen so much that Robot's going to clap Mechamaru, right? He's ultimately dealing with Viltrumites, which is just way out of his scale.